And this man's theory is the most terrifying of all. He proposed that Peter didn't just disappear, but that he ended up in a parallel universe. A very macabre disappearance happened in England. A man disappeared in a totally inexplicable way after being hit by a very strange lightning. The story remains unsolved to this day. No one knows if he was part of a bizarre experiment, if this was the work of nature, or even if it was a case involving aliens. All I know is that the case I'm going to tell you about today is extremely scary, and you there will be left with even the last strand of hair you have on your head standing on end. I am Capel, your favorite alien storyteller. Welcome everyone to another video that starts now on this channel. Before starting this video, I need to pass on a very important message, so pay close attention. For those who couldn't take advantage of the Black Friday promotion for my courses, now next month from the 13th of May to the 17th of May, there will be a super ultra mega promotion for my 2 courses. Both courses will have more than 40% off, and my book will also be on sale for those who want to purchase the digital version on Hotmart. So if you want to have access to the discount coupons, there is only one way to get these coupons. Below in the description, there are 2 links. The link to our WhatsApp group and the link to our Telegram group. You can choose either one to join. So you join the group now, and now you do nothing. Just stay there quiet, because from May 13th to May 17th, that is the whole week, I will send the discount coupon links only to those who are in the group. Then all you have to do is buy through the link and you will have access to the discount. When you receive these coupons, that is in May, during the week of May 13th to 17th, mark it on your calendar. When you receive them, click and buy, because they run out very quickly. From my experience, they run out in less than 15 minutes, and you will miss out. So stay tuned so you don't miss out. Now let's get to this macabre case. It was a summer night in 1974 in Somerset, England. Peter Williamson was at the grill, flipping burgers for his family and friends when a strange storm formed on the horizon. The rain came quickly, pushing everyone to a covered part of the patio, but they still remained excited there to keep the party going. The fun gave way to apprehension when a lightning bolt tore through the skies and split a tree in half in the backyard next to the house over there. Nervous laughter began, and that's when Peter's son noticed something very strange. The family dog was still outside, and he was huddled there near a bush, shaking with fear. Peter told everyone to stay where they were, and he went there to get the dog. When he was halfway there, a very intense flash lit up the night, and Peter was hit by that flash. Soon after, Peter disappeared. Peter vanished completely. He disappeared without a scream, without leaving any mark on the ground. And a moment before he disappeared, you could see a silhouette cut out in that brightness. The silhouette of Peter. Only now the space where the silhouette was enveloped by this ray had been completely taken over by a strange void. Peter's wife, Mary, ran out screaming, friends shocked, but no one found any sign of Peter. There was no body, no mark, there was nothing. Peter then would have been erased from the fabric of reality as if he had never existed. The police were called, searches were made, they scoured the backyard, the neighborhood, every nook and cranny of that town possible, because after all, a man can't just disappear like that, right? He can't just evaporate like that, or can he? As far as I know, he can't. But Peter was nowhere to be found. And for 3 days, Somerset was the scene of a totally bizarre mystery. The officers suggested that perhaps he had climbed the wall, which was nearly 2 meters high, because he had become disoriented there by the noise and the light of the lightning. But how would that be possible if the only gate in the yard was locked and they didn't know where the key was? And now, my people, comes the big plot twist of our story. On the third day after this incident, something much more bizarre than all of this happened.
The gardener
Of the family started screaming madly, calling for Mary. And when they came out of the house, they found Peter sitting in the backyard grass as if nothing had happened. But some things were strange. Why? Because everything around was soaked by the rain that had fallen in the last few days. But not Peter. Peter was completely dry, his clothes were completely dry, and there was a detail that was even stranger and more bizarre. Those clothes that Peter was wearing were not the clothes he was wearing when he disappeared. Instead of a t-shirt and jeans, which is what he was wearing the day he disappeared, he came back in moss green velvet pants that no one in the family had ever seen him wear. In other words, where did he get these clothes? And most importantly, what happened to this man? Well, he was immediately taken to the hospital because he had mild amnesia. But aside from this amnesia, Peter was completely healthy and he remembered all the details. He remembered the barbecue, remembered the rain, remembered that he had gone out to fetch the dog, but he didn't remember the lightning. And he also didn't remember what happened, what went on during those 3 days that he was missing. He was discharged from the hospital, then he was taken home, and when he got home, he started having strange dreams about what supposedly happened to him during those 3 days that he was missing. He started having fragments of memory of being in an unknown hospital, lost on a road under the rain, and also of a strange man who was helping him. These flashes started to blend together while he was sleeping and also while he was awake. At first, he thought this was some effect of his mind, like as if his mind was creating these images. But something inside him said no. It said that these images were real. And there was a very specific name that kept repeating in his head. The name was Dr. Nente. Then he remembered being treated by a kind doctor in a hospital that seemed to exist outside of his reality. The details of this hospital were so vivid that he remembered the smell of the place, the sounds in the corridors, and even the price of the tea that was sold in the cafeteria. And most importantly, there was a name embroidered inside his new pants. That strange pants that he showed up there on Garden Day, those moss green pants, had a name embroidered inside. And that name was Herbert Fox, which was kind of a tailor's tag who had made those pants. But there was a small problem. Herbert Fox's store had caught fire and had been destroyed 20 years before this story happened. That is, back in 1956. But this label that was inside his pants brought us one more detail, one more clue to this story that seems to be, or at least seemed to be, a dead end. And Peter, he didn't give up trying to find out what had actually happened to him. So he went to visit the place where he swore he had been, only to find out that no one at that location had ever heard of him. The hospital where he claimed to have been treated never existed, at least not in the reality that we inhabit. But after all, was Dr. Nant real? Well, Peter had a friend who had been treated by Dr. Nant. So he told this friend took him to Dr. Nant so they could talk, and when Peter started talking to Dr. Nant, the doctor had no idea who he was. Things, folks, got even weirder when a researcher named Corlin Parsons entered the story. He began to investigate the case because the case became really famous in the Somerset region, and he gathered several testimonies and analyzed various pieces of evidence. And this man's theory is the most frightening of all. He proposed that Peter didn't just disappear, but that he ended up in a parallel universe. Collins found even more bizarre and disturbing details that corroborated this story, or at least his theory was correct. That moss green pants that Peter was wearing was made of a fabric that had never been produced by the factory. A fabric that the factory never recorded producing. The cigarette that was found in Peter's pants pocket was from a brand that existed, except that the logo was slightly different from the original brand, as if this cigarette brand belonged to an alternate version of our reality. And most importantly, the final evidence, the name embroidered there on the pants, belonged to a man named John Blackwood, who in our world, that is, in our reality, would have died in a mining accident in the 50s. Only in the reality where Peter went, that is, to this reality where Peter had been, Blackwood seemed to still be alive. And furthermore, there are many theories, and physicists have been studying and debating for a long time the possibility of the multiverse, which would be parallel universes coexisting, where there are small differences with our reality, and these realities can be created slightly differently. That is, they are practically identical worlds with some different details. This theory is called the theory of interacting worlds. That is, they are worlds that interact. They are two realities that occasionally get too close, and electromagnetic forces can collide to the point of creating a crossroads between these realities. And the researchers then concluded that what was generating this energy for these realities to collide were lightning strikes. And it's obvious, folks, that this is just a theory to explain the mysterious case of the disappearance that happened in Somerset. But if this theory is correct, Peter wasn't just struck by lightning, but he was transported to another reality, a reality so similar to our own here that he only noticed the difference in very minute details, like the cigarette, the name that was on the hospital tag that didn't exist, but when he tried to return to the exact point where he had woken up in that alternative reality, he was sucked back into our reality here. Now, the question that no one could answer was what would have happened if he hadn't found his way back here? And even more, how many Peters Williamson from alternative universes have disappeared never to return? This case has been recounted in various books and various paranormal forums, but there are no official records about this case. No newspaper mentions this investigation. There is no official bulletin that recognizes this disappearance, but the case is a real case, a very famous legend from the Somerset region in England. Many people believe that this case was deliberately concealed, a case that got lost in the midst of bureaucracy precisely because it needed to be kept secret. That's exactly why science does not rule out the possibility of parallel universes. In 2014, physicists from Griffith University proposed that parallel universes not only exist, but they can also interact with each other. In other words, it would be possible that during a storm, a microscopic portal was opened between dimensions for a short period of time. And indeed, Peter may have crossed a parallel dimension and gone to a dimension where things worked in a slightly different way. But that's where the question lies, right, folks? Did this only happen to Peter? Or could this happen to anyone? And if so, could there be other versions of ourselves out there somewhere? Like living slightly different lives? And in one of those realities, we might have disappeared without ever finding our way back. Well, maybe what happened to Peter was just a situation of a lucky guy who managed to return. But who knows, folks, how many of the people missing in the world are missing precisely because of mysterious situations like the one Peter experienced, and precisely because of that, they were never able to return. Well, the next time you hear a thunder or see a lightning illuminating the sky, pay close attention to your surroundings to make sure you're still in your world, that you're still in your reality. Because everything leads to believe that this story really did happen. So now, I don't know about you, but I've developed a new fear. At least here, oh, in my existence, I've never been afraid of ending up in a parallel reality. But after this story about Peter, I'm seriously considering starting to fear ending up in parallel realities. I want to know everything you think about this story. Do you believe this story is real? Or if you believe this is just a mystery tale, comment below what you think about all this. And also start following the groups there so you don't miss the discount coupon from the promotion. A big kiss to you all, and I'll see you in our next videos. Bye.